Folks, Vitek here from Wani, and with us today we have Derrick Green of Sepultura. How we doing, brother?
I'm fantastic, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, Machine Messiah is primed to start 2017 for the metalheads. January 13th, the album drops, a perfect way to start a new year. I'm sure you guys must be pumped to have a record out after 3 years.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling. We've been on the road so much, playing everywhere. Been fantastic shows, festivals, great people. The energy level has just been really on high.
Mhm.
So to go in the studio with this energy behind us, all this positive energy and coming out with something that we just blowing our own minds. We really dug deep and pulled out a lot of things that was surprising, I think, for all of us, and I think for a lot of fans it will be as well. So we can't wait till it comes out. It's just very exciting.
That's good to hear. And before we get deep into the album, now Sepultura is entering into the fourth decade now, and it's been such a great journey, especially for you, as since the time you joined the band. You celebrated 30 years. You tour around the world. I mean, you were on tour the most from last 2 years, and here you are back in the studio churning out another album. Has the diversity in a band like Sepultura kind of helped this record grow? Because I feel this album is like everything. There's a lot of inspiration. There's essence of the sound which is there. There's grooves. There's thrashy
Right, right.
parts. There's everything there which Andreas has developed since the roots. So how's it for you?
Yes.
Because you have been there. You guys have grown, evolved together. And here you are releasing Machine Messiah.
I think it's really what's the primary goal when I joined the band and we're going through this change was to really uh, develop a sense of feeling very comfortable within ourselves and being able to express our personalities within the music. And this was something that we were, that grew together from touring and playing in studio and spending this time and communicating with each other. It really helped into this evolution. And I really believe and feel this evolution. I feel in my own craft and my own voice, I feel more confident, and I feel that I'm able to do vocals better than I ever have, and especially in the live and in the studio. And I think every one of us could say this about each other, that I can say, so many positive things about everyone and how they've grown within the band. And I think as an artist, this is one of the most important things that you would, that's very necessary in your career is being able to explore, to expand, and to feel good about it, to feel passionate about it. So this is something we feel very fortunate to be able to travel around the world and have these influence, from different styles of music, different cultures, different languages. We really absorb this, as individuals, and it's inevitable that it's going to come out in our music, because we're such a big fan of so many different styles and fall in love with going to these places. So it definitely comes through, I think, on the album, which makes Sepultura such a global band.
Definitely, because you guys are all about diversity. I mean, even when the band, you guys have been extremely successful in the thrash metal zone, pre-roots era, and you guys didn't want to stay there and rehash the ideas. Instead, you evolved over the years with albums of different styles, and it's always been about artistic integrity when it comes to
Yes.
Sepultura. And here you are with the fourth decade. So for you guys, especially you and Andreas, how important is it to keep pushing yourself, to keep crossing the boundaries without fearing how the end product will sound like?
I think it's extremely important. I mean, it's really a battle because you have a lot of people from the outside who are pushing you to go in different directions. Some maybe, they're trying to maybe benefit you, but it's not necessarily the right move. And you have to really do things that you feel comfortable doing. And I think that's something that we've always stayed true to do. And so I think once we feel that we're not able to properly play these songs or do anything, that's when we know it's time to really like call it quits, where we're not feeling the passion from what we're doing on stage or in the studio. But for us, I think it just keeps getting better and better. There's always it seems like there's always something to write about. The world is always constantly changing. It's an interesting time that we live in, and I think once you also have a combination or with somebody, when you're able to combine with certain people in the group, then and you have this energy, then you really want to see it go, push it forward. So I think we've been able to do that in a very natural way, which is really fantastic.
That's really good. Yeah, starting with a track like Machine Messiah, which is more like an instrumental focused song with a lot of melodies in there. An immediate sort of it grabs the listener's attention pretty much. Straightforward. The structure on the album is absolutely amazing. I mean, I was in fact listening to it, and I felt like how songs like Phantom Self gets into a song like Alethea or even Iceberg. So
Right.
you guys have spent a lot of time in structuring these songs so that it kind of feels connected instead of just the disjoint parts.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the first basis of writing this album, was like we wanted to sound like it's all connected and kind of like an album, like A side and B side. So on Sworn Enemy, it's kind of like the start of the B side, and we're even calling it that song. We already had like in our minds kind of an idea of the arrangement of the songs, and we always felt this was really important to really pull in the listener and track by track, have everything kind of make sense. And I feel really happy about that, because when I sit back and listen to it from beginning to end, it's definitely, complete in all senses that we were having. But even more, it's like really great because we had Jens Bogren. That was an essential part of with the sound as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reason that we really went there is because I felt with Mediator was fantastic experience working with Ross Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
His style is just so like chaotic and wild and visceral and very, in the moment and just destroy everything. And I love that because the energy is just that moment and how it should be. And the album, it's like very dirty and dark and all the way through, and so it was Owais' first album as well. So, all these elements were just like made for that album. But I think with Machine Messiah, we had in mind that we're not going to have it at all the same. We wanted to have Jens. He's a very different producer than Ross. He's very meticulous and very precise in his craft and his work, and a very clear sound that he has. And I really wanted, to have this on vocals. He really felt that on my vocals, he didn't want to use too much effects, but at the same time, he really wanted to make it clear and audible for people to hear, articulating, certain words and phrases very well.
Right.
And so I think that was something that I stepped up and a little bit more for sure on this album with the help of Jens. And I think with Andreas' guitars ideas, he's really able to let go as far as like using his classical ability, that a lot of people don't know that he studied that, and not be afraid to show that, within the music. Let's write songs where you can show that, or let's have a song where it can take you on that journey, and really get in and tell a story. And I mean, with Machine Messiah being the first song, really was influenced a lot by Massive Attack, which is, we did a cover of theirs like years ago,
Right.
and not many people really recognized or realized it. But then years later, it just started popping up because it was on a TV show, the Following with Kevin Bacon, and they used like the whole ending of a scene with that song. And then like people are like, I can't believe you guys did. I can't believe you sing. No. I was like, yeah, I sang on a lot of different parts on Sepultura's albums throughout the years, but being the first song, it just grabbed people's attention, and also the melody of the song, and it just really fit very well. And so I think you're absolutely right. I think everybody stepped up. I mean, Paulo, I think he felt more comfortable writing in this process than any other recording process. And this was a very, intricate songs, but he came in well prepared, and he was able to just really knock it out, and that really helped a lot, along with Eloy just destroying the drums, but
Right.
being able to see a lot more of a technical side of him, because he is a very technical drummer. Even though he's hitting the drum, I mean, he's just so powerful. But I think with this album, you can really see the diversity that he has, and so this is,
Absolutely.
fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely, with a song like Phantom Self itself, one of the best ones on the record, and here you are
Yeah.
using the orchestral sections, which has a lot of it kind of reminds me of this Philharmonic Orchestra from
Right.
Greece, and they have such a great, unique vibe in it. And here you are bringing it into the Sepultura sound. So, what was the inspiration in terms of using orchestral elements on the songs like Phantom Self?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we always love. We're big fans of classical music and orchestras, and we used in the past, like on Dante 21, we had orchestra parts, and it's just very powerful. I think, actually watching a lot of trailer or like movies and soundtracks, and I'm such a big fan of soundtracks, along with Andreas and everyone else. But I was, that element I thought was just so important for power, and I think it's great to be able to have that, ability to use that in our music.
Right, absolutely. And you guys, you already said that you were working with Jens. Now, what I've observed about Jens is he's a producer who doesn't like to change the sound of the band. Instead,
Right.
he's someone who likes to kind of hone the sound that already the band is known for and make it even better. I mean, I've seen him
Yes.
doing this with Kreator. I've seen him, done this with Moonspell and Opeth, etc. I mean, he's the guy who can literally understand what your vision is, and at the same time, he doesn't prefer to change that or bring in some new sounds here and there. Instead, he focuses on the vision the band has and tends to improve that. That's one quality of Jens. Why I always like whenever, and to be honest with you, whenever a band says, "Okay, produced, mixed, and mastered by Jens," I'd be like, heck yeah, this guy knows what to do. And here you are working with him for the first time. So you already mentioned about Ross being a different person and Jens obviously being
Yeah.
different. But for you in general, vocals on this record, there are a lot of clean sections which sound phenomenal. And I'm sure Jens
Okay.
has literally pushed your ass to do this
Oh yeah,
time and time
definitely.
again.
I mean, he really got me very confident into, he had heard me sing before, and he was really just like, hey, you got to do this, it's going to sound great, don't worry about it, don't, overthink it, and just be natural. And he was right, there are a lot of things that just come out freely. And I think that's really great with the end, because what you said is exactly true. He knew the sound that we had, and he really loved it. And he didn't want to change that, but he wanted to adapt, his ideas and certain things that he had that were really positive, and this is what we really needed. And I felt that from the very beginning, what I felt that's what the band really needed. Definitely was somebody that is very confident in what they do, and Jens is extremely confident, as far because he's doing the mix as well, and he just really likes to be, really controlling in that sense, which is great, because as a musician, you just do what you do, and then he shows his ability to do what he does as a producer, without having to be over his shoulder or anything like that. I mean, it was just, I just felt very confident with anything that he was going to do, or his suggestions, because he could back them up. He could logically tell you why and why not. He thought this way, and this was something that was really important to, to hear from a producer.
Absolutely. Now you're heading on tour, obviously with Testament next year, and that's going to be a great, because States audience is something that loves Sepultura, but you don't get time and again you don't get to come to States, so this is again an opportunity
it's
for
very
fans.
special.
Right.
I agree. I mean, like, we're so excited to be on tour. We're going to be on tour with Testament and Prong, and I think it's such a great package, too. Very happy about it. And also Testament having an album out at the same time, a new album, and a very good album. So it builds for a great package and a great night for fans of heavy music. And we have different styles, all the bands. So this adds to diversity in the show.
right.
and playing good in good venues with good sound, and this is also important because we want to be on the format where everybody can really hear and see everything and walk away like, wow, I got my money's worth, and I think they will. I think this is a package that even everybody in South America is like, God, I wish you guys were doing that here, and we have a tour even before that with Kreator. Yeah, and soil work too. Kreator, soil work, and Abort It. They're from Belgium.
What a
So
package! What a package! Because
yeah,
I know
again,
American fans are freaked out that how the hell is Europe getting it and we're not getting a package like
right
that.
now it's true. I getting a lot of comments and stuff, and again, South America, like, why not? But it's man, it's going to be a very exciting next year. Kreator with their new album out as well. It's almost like the Jens Bogren tour
Yeah.
because it's like soil work and
Right. Right.
Kreator, and so. It's just I'm just very happy that everything is like really formulating very well. I honestly have to say it's the best moment of being in the band since I
True.
joined the band. From the very beginning, I was like, okay, I got in the band. This is the best moment. But I mean, after touring and everything, I mean, the past few years touring have just been phenomenal. Like seeing the support from really young people to like old school Sepultura fans,
Right.
that mix, it's just really great to have that support that's still there, and we also have, a movie coming out, a documentary movie. It really shows that, shows what we've been doing and why the band is still relevant and how is it still relevant after all the different circumstances that happened, from the very beginning. So it's showing that storyline, finally in a documentary that everyone can see, with great footage, great old photos, and fantastic interviews with people that were completely influenced by the band throughout the years.
When is the DVD or this entire documentary coming out?
Well, it's actually like film that's going to be on like the big screen. So
Wow.
it's the screening of it is I just saw a few weeks ago, and I'll see the second screening in January. So I think by March or April it will be out, and so we're really hoping to push it for many film festivals throughout the world, and I think for people who aren't metal fans, it'll be a very interesting film to see as well.
Right, absolutely. Now, Derek, if you had to sum up the album in a sentence, what would you say?
I would say prepare yourself to go on an epic journey of the mind and senses.
Absolutely, because Cyber God, the last song, I mean, it's such it felt like a finale for something is happening in the
Yeah.
world, and the solo of Andreas, I want to put the point there.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that was phenomenal. I mean, time and time again, this guy not only comes
I
up with
know.
great riffs, but here you are churning out solos.
Now I have to agree. This is something that's like the soloing was like very moving, like in every part almost. But I love the solos on this album. They're just like really locked in my head and very moving, and they fit so well, and they're just so flowing. It's just I'm really happy with it as well.
Thanks again for doing an interview.
All right, man.
Always a great time having a chat with you. Good luck with the release,
All
and
right.
and let the machine do the talking.
Yes, my friend.
Take
Thank you
care of
very
yourself.
much. All right, take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.